श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णा प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः। प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला। अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः। पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितं। लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद्भारतं पङ्कजं कलिमलः प्रध्वंसि न श्रेयसे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैर्गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणा। देवाय तस्मै नमः, देवाय तस्मै नमः, देवाय तस्मै नमः। We have started the study of the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. We concluded the 13th chapter, which gave us some idea about the Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Kshetra is the world, and the Kshetrajna is the knower of this world. So, the knowledge of the universe and this coupled with the knowledge of the self gives us a fairly wholesome understanding about who we are, what we are made of, and what we are in truth. So that was dealt with in the previous chapter. And in this chapter, Sri Krishna talks about three gunas, division of the three gunas. Guna means, in Sanskrit, guna means rope, a rope, that which binds you or that which you can bind other things. So guna are the three things that bind us, sattva, rajas and tamas. And I am tempted to give the example from Sri Ramakrishna about three robbers and a traveler. A traveler, in those days a Brahmin, had gone to the neighboring village for some work, and then while coming back he was loaded with things, and some money as well. As he was coming, he wanted to take another route. Normally there were two roads. One road would be very long winding. The other was a shortcut. It went through a forest. And this man thought, well, it is getting dark, so let me take the shortcut route. But that shortcut route was infested with dacoits or robbers. So Sri Ramakrishna gives the example and says that as he was going through the forest, he was accosted by these three robbers. And they had their weapons with them, and one of them shouted about, "Who goes there?" So the man became very much frightened because he knew that there were the robbers there, and so he thought he is done with. So he is very much afraid. And so one very dark colored person comes and says, "What do you have?" "Well, I have got some of the things. I had gone to do to perform some worship. So they have given me some things and money." So he called that others too who were hiding behind, said, "Come, let us kill this fellow. Let us get rid of him." But the second one, who was a bit red in color, that means a bit fairer in color, comes and says, No, why should we kill this poor man? Let us take away all the things that he has and give him a good thrashing, and let us tie him to this tree over here, and let us go on the way. So these two, because they were the majority naturally, so they robbed him of everything, gave him a good thrashing, and then tied him to the tree and told him, "Look, do not reveal our identity to anyone. If you reveal, then we are going to come back and take you and kill you." So they robbed everything and they went their way. The third one, who was of a very soft nature, kind nature, he comes back after some time, and he unties the man and says, "My dear, I am sorry we had to rob you of everything, but this is our main profession. What can we do? Robbing is our profession. We have to maintain our families. But I will give you some money from the portion that I have received so that you can go home and feed your children." And this man says, "It is already dark. I don't know where to go, which path to go. It's all dark. Everything is dark." So that this third robber shows him the way out of the forest and says, "Look over there. Can you see some lights?" "Yes, I can see the lights. That is your village. And you go there. And I really apologize for whatever has been caused to you, but you go your way." This man said, "You have been so very kind. You have not only saved my life, but you have also been kind as to give me something. So I cannot repay you this debt ever. But do me a favor, please come with me to my house and stay with me in our house for the night, and in the morning you can have breakfast and then you can go back." And the third robber said, No, I cannot go there, because if I go there, somebody will recognize me as one of the robbers, and the police will be called for and I will be imprisoned. No, I cannot go. So you go your way. So he sends him away. Saying this, Sri Ramakrishna says, all these three robbers represent the three natures that are inherent in every being, not only the living but also the inert beings, Rajas, tamas, the first one, very dark one, and then rajas, a little red, and then sattva, which is of the color of white or purity. So all of these three things bind us. So we have to get out of the clutches of all of these three in order to reach our destination. And Sri Krishna here talks about this topic of guna traya vibhaga yoga. And the purpose of this chapter is mentioned in both the upakrama and upasamhara of this, beginning and the concluding verses. And the first verse deals with jnana, idam jnana, this knowledge, that is the knowledge that has been gained by studying the previous chapter. That's why it is important for us to study the previous chapter. All the chapters in the Bhagavad Gita are connected to each other. Sometimes it appears as if there is no connection, but definitely it is a gradual or staged development of a human being, from being very despondent, from being totally depressed, to slowly and slowly understand what the highest knowledge is in the second chapter, then how to put it in practice, the third chapter, the karma yoga. Like that, all the chapters are the gradations in a human's journey towards the divine or towards the ultimate. So in this chapter, Sri Krishna says, Param Huya Pravakshyam. The first verse refers to this jnana, or the knowledge that is brought over from the previous chapter, is being kshetra jnana, knowledge of the known and the unknown. So one should be clear as to the relationship of ourselves, that is our real self, with the world or the universe that we deal with. So what happens then in the last verse? He says, this knowledge leads us to bhuta prakriti moksham cha. The last verse says, freedom from the limitations of prakriti. We are all in the bondage of prakriti, that is the three gunas, which constitute prakriti or nature. So one has to transcend the lower nature in order to achieve to our higher nature, which is divine. Then what will happen? Sri Krishna says, Mama sadharmyam agataha. You will be the same as me. Mama sadharmya. Sadharmya means dharma. That means the nature or the quality will be the same. Your quality and my quality will be the same. Devo bhutva devam yajit. When we perform our worship, the scriptures say, Devo bhutva. How can you worship the divine without yourself becoming the divine? You worship by becoming, first treat yourself as the divine. First purify yourself, your external self, and purify yourself, establishing the divine in your heart, and then bring that divine outside and worship the divine outside. What a noble concept that is there. And this chapter also deals with the subject of the Lord as the teacher, the Lord who comes as the Guru and imparts the mantra to us. That is something which is very essential in everybody's life. This imparting of knowledge from one person of a higher nature to a person of a lower nature is extremely important. Jyot se jyot jalate chalo prema ki ganga bahate chalo. That's the movie song. Jyot se, from one lamp you light the other lamp. That's what he says. So here, once that happens, one will be established in the knowledge of Brahman, and it enables everyone, irrespective of whether one is born in a higher place or in a lower place, to overcome the limitations and then become one with the divine. He also brings into the concept of the Guru as the Pita, Guru as the Father. In Christianity, of course, we say, what is that? Our Heavenly Father, our Heavenly Father. So here we have the concept of the Guru as the Pita, because Pita or the Father gives us birth in this, but the Guru gives us second birth or spiritual birth. By imparting the mantra in our ears, the Guru gives us a spiritual birth. Then one feels that whether I am alive or whether I am going to die, I am free from all concerns, I am free from all worries. That comes from the mantra Shakti that is within every one of us. And Sri Krishna emphasizes here, Mama Yonir Mahat Brahma, I am in the heart of everyone. I am there as the Mahat Brahma, and staying there, I strengthen a person's buddhi, I strengthen the person's intellect. What is this intellect? The intellect is of the nature of light. That is why we have said many a times, this Gayatri mantra that we chant, Dhiyo yo naha prachodayat. There the Dhi is this intellect, the brilliant intellect, bright sunshine that is within us. Sri Ramakrishna's father was an adept in chanting this Gayatri mantra, and he had achieved the Siddhi, the perfection in that. So Sri Ramakrishna says, when my father would walk on the streets of Kamarpukur, the village, and would go to the Haldar Pukur, the local village lake, for a bath, people would give way to him, and they would exclaim, here comes the person, divine person. And when he would go and to take the bath and would immerse and do his Gayatri Japa, his chest would turn crimson, and nobody would dare to come and bathe during that time, because they knew that he was the purest of the pure persons. So that is what it does. This guy, the mantra, it illumines one's intellect, or the intellect here means the spiritual heart is known as the intellect over here, not this brain that we talk about. It is a skewed thing. So he says, I will strengthen dadami buddhi yogam tam. I will give such an understanding to such persons that all the ignorance will be destroyed. When sunlight comes, the darkness disappears completely. And that's what he says. This buddhi yoga destroys all ignorance, all the limitations that we feel. I am a man, I am a woman, I am young, I am old. All of this will be completely destroyed. Not that you are going to boast about it outside, but from within one you will feel that you are one with Brahman. So this chapter gives us an in-depth understanding of the three gunas, the forms of nature that binds us. Again, I would like to remind, guna means a rope that binds us. And we are under the influence of these three gunas and feel that we are bound. Once the knowledge dawns within us, then we will be freed from all of these understandings. Not that you get a new understanding, but that your understanding which was darkened will now have the light, and therefore the same intellect which takes us downward will now take us upwards towards the divine. So guna traya vibhaga, these three forms of nature are not in the same proportion in every one of us. So it varies according to the container in which it is kept. To give a example, to give the example of the Shastras, it varies according to the container. Sri Ramakrishna says, can you pour grains of 1 kilo, in those days they used to say ek ser, 1 kilo of grains in a half kilo container? You cannot. So you have to have 1 kilo container only. And it, therefore, this varies sometimes. Sometimes our mind is full of the understanding, full of seeking for this knowledge. And therefore, our container, the quantity or the container capacity goes high. And at times when we are in deep depths of depression and anxiety, it goes down. So then tamas takes over. And then at times rajas takes over. And then at times sattva takes over ourselves. So we have to be aware of this, and that this will be not the same at all times. And also, every person's container is of a different quantity. Here, every person's container is also different quantity. So, Sri Krishna, we shall start this chapter by studying the first and second verses. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Param Bhuyah Pravakshyami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yajñatva Munayas Sarve Param Siddhimito Gataha. We will chant the second one also. Idam Jnanam Upasritya Mama Sadharmyam Agataha Sarge Pinopajayante Pralaye Navyatanti cha. So, the first verse, he says, Param Bhuyah Pravakshyami. Bhuyaha means again. That means I have given you enough of knowledge before, but I know that you have not been able to absorb it. And therefore I need to serve you knowledge in a new manner. Like what they say as pouring old wine in a new bottle. Pouring old wine in a new bottle. So sometimes you need to bring in a new bottle in order to serve the same thing. Definitely. The same jnana, knowledge is one. Of course, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, it is enough to know that God is. Enough to know that God is. And he used to give the example of a sadhu whom he had seen. He would see that this sadhu would be constantly reading something from one book, same book all the times. And he asked him, what are you reading? From the first page to the last page, there's only one word written, Ram, Sri Ram, Sri Ram, Sri Ram, Sri Ram. That's all that was there in the book. And that was the scripture for him. Just reading the name again and again and again gave him all that knowledge. And then he says, there was another sadhu who, as soon as the sun would come up, he would go out. And then he would look at the sun and say, O Lord, you that have made the sun, you that have given life to the earth, what a wonderful person you are. And that was his dhyan, that was his meditation. And that was enough for him, it had given him the knowledge. So, for some it is enough to just know that God is. Whereas to others who are doubtful, like all of us, samshaya rakshasa nasha mahastram, says Sri Swami Vivekananda in one of the verses to his Guru Sri Ramakrishna. Samshaya rakshas. This doubt is like a rakshas. Who is a rakshas? Here, Keshi. Yeah, Keshi and many other rakshas. Rakshas are those people. See, there are two types of demons. One are known as asuras and the other is rakshasas. Asuras are wicked. They are both of them are wicked, no doubt. But asuras, for them, their life alone is everything for them. Asu means prana. For them, and they will do anything. They will kill a person and they will destroy a person by hook or crook. Whereas Rakshasas they have got some knowledge, like our, what's his name, Ravan. Ravan was a Rakshasa, but he had plenty of knowledge within him, and therefore he would not hurt people willfully all the time. He would not hurt everyone, but he wanted little by little he will eat them up, so to say. Little by little he will destroy people by taking away their wealth, by taking away their power, their position, etc. So samshaya, doubt is that which is like a rakshasa. Little by little it will eat into our understanding, and therefore a time will come when we become totally listless and we will not be able to do anything at all, or will not be able to think everything at all. So this doubt should not enter into our mind. Therefore, Sri Krishna again says, Param Bhuyaha. I am talking about this again. I am giving you this knowledge again. Pravakshyami. I am going to talk about it. Vakshyami. Param jnanam, uttamam jnanam param. I will give you that jnana, which is that knowledge, which is the best of all knowledge. There is only one knowledge. But he says, when you, with all of us, if we say this is of an inferior quality, this is of a better quality, and this is the best quality, even though it may be made in the same factory, yet we will just distinguish it into three categories and say this is lowest and that is the highest. And naturally we will go and get that which is the best. So, jnananam jnanam uttamam. But I will give you that knowledge which is of the highest type. Of course, Ramanujacharya in his commentary on this verse says, Purvoktan Anyan prakriti purusha antargatameva sattvadi guna vishayam jnanam. Purvoktan anyan prakriti purusha antargatameva. Sri Krishna has already spoken to us about the difference between the purusha and prakriti, antargata. But he is reinstating, or he is reinforcing the same knowledge with the addition of sattva adi guna vishayam. Sattva, rajas and tamas. He brings in this equation of sattva, rajas and tamas in this chapter. So, there are several paths that leads to the divine. To escape this samsara. There is the jnana marga, there is the bhakti marga, there is the karma marga, and there is the yoga marga, and there are other paths also. But all of them ultimately lead us to the destination. But some paths are shorter or easier to traverse for some, according to one's nature, guna. Once according to one's nature. There is no such thing as easiest. All are good. There is no doubt about that. See, but it depends upon one's capability or capacity. some people, now is the Amarnath season going on in India, So some people go through the very difficult path, but which is a little bit shorter. There is a path, I have not been there, but I have heard from our Swamis, it's a difficult path. Swami Vivekananda went through that path. You immediately climb, within one day you climb up to the cave. But there is the other one through the Pahalgam, which goes it takes 3 days or so for you to traverse. Whichever. Some people have that great grit to climb up very easily. But the same thing, others will probably slip and fall down. Therefore, for them it is easier to go through the paved path which is through the Pahalgam. Though it is longer, yet it is safer for some. But for an expert climber, the other path is much easier, because for him it is easier. So there is no such thing called easiest and most difficult path. It is all the same. It depends upon our inclination. Exactly. That's why sometimes God with form is very dear and very appreciable by us. Whereas at times there are times in our lives where we don't want to have in the names and forms. We want to think of God as without form. So whichever path is, that's perfectly all right. In fact, in the Gospel, it is called God is formless. Again, He has forms. When this was told to Yam, the author of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, he was confused. He said, how can He be formless and yet have form? How can God have both of these? He said, no, for the bhakta, he says, Sri Ramakrishna says, he assumes forms. For the sake of the devotee, that divine principle assumes the forms. But he is formless for the jnani. But the jnani always discriminates and realizes by his inner perception that the ego and the universe are both illusory. For him the universe does not exist. तीन काल में नहीं है. The दुनिया तीन काल में नहीं है. That's what the Advaitin sadhus say. The universe never existed. Then who are you? I am Brahman. Of course, that is the only thing that they will say. But that is not the path of everybody. But with the rise of the sun of knowledge, the blocks of ice melt. And he says, sometimes God assumes the form just as the ocean, it becomes ice blocks. Glaciers melt and then it becomes ice blocks. So in the same way, he says, for the sake of the devotees, he assumes the forms, though God can be said as without form. And he gives the example of an onion. Take an onion for instance, he says, first of all you peel off the red outer skin, and then you find the thick white skins. Peel these off one after another, and you do not find anything inside. But is it that there is nothing inside? There is something inside, but that has been enveloped with the onion skins, the different layers of the onion. So, once you peel off everything, you will see that your ego does not really have any locus, or it does not have any existence of its own. It is the covering that has made us. So inside is that divine Shakti, that is the Shakti or the power of the divine, that is what is playing within every one of us. Anyway, so here Sri Krishna is reminding Arjuna that I shall now expound to you again that knowledge relating to the Supreme Being, the most exalted of all forms of knowledge, by gaining which all sages pass from this state of bondage into the highest perfection. So that is to say, whether you are possessed of great qualities, or you do not have any qualities at all, yet there is a hope for everyone. That is why Vedanta does not talk about sin per se. We are not sinners as such. Abrahamic religions talk about sin. Without the concept of sin, everything they cannot talk about religion at all. Whereas Vedanta says, no, we are not sinners. We are divine. This has to be reinforced in us at all times. What it does is, when we reinforce it, all the weaknesses that we experience within ourselves, especially spiritual weaknesses, mental weaknesses that we experience with ourselves, which will slowly and slowly dissipate, it will slowly disappear. So we need to bring in this concept of the Atman, I am, the Atman, I am, a part and parcel of the divine. This concept has to be reinforced time and again in our life. So, in the next verse it says, Idam jnanam upashritya mama sadharmyam agataha sargepi nopajayante pralaye na vyatanti cha. Idam jnanam, what happens to you after getting this knowledge? Upashritya, having, he uses this word, upashritya. That means we should rely upon this knowledge. We should depend upon this knowledge, because this has been spoken of by the Lord or the Guru himself. Mama sadharmyam agata. Once you depend on this knowledge, that is to say, let this idea be firmly deep-rooted within yourself. Once that is deep-rooted within yourself, that you and the Maker are one. Once that comes, then you will reach to unity with my nature. Those who have attained unity with my nature through this knowledge are not born again, even at the beginning of a new creative cycle, nor are they subjected to the distress of dissolution. The reason why Sri Krishna is using this terminology is that in his time, the Sankhya philosophy had gained great importance. And the Sankhya philosophers used to say that a person who goes back to oneness with nature will have to be born again in the next kalpa or in the next cycle. Whereas Sri Krishna gives this assurance to us that don't be afraid, you will not be born again if you gain this, if you have this. But again, having said that, Swami Ranganathananji was one of the presidents of our order, several years ago he passed away. So towards the end of his life, one of his sevaks, his assistants, he saw him one day sitting very joyously, and then he said, "Oh Maharaj, you look very, very happy today, and you're in a very good form today." He said, "Hey, look here, I prayed to Thakur." What is it? I prayed to Thakur that I should be born again. So this Swami was very much astounded. "Maharaj, what do you mean? That, we become monks in order to become free. We have to have freedom, to not be born again." He says, "No, I want to be born again." And of course he continued to say, "I want to be born again as a monk of the Ramakrishna order, so that I can serve the devotees of the divine." See, what noble thought that he had. And he prayed to the divine to be born again and be a monk of the Ramakrishna. That is to say, to serve the children of the divine as forms of the divine itself, and to, of course, divinize oneself. Of course, here we cannot, all of us are not made of the same frame of mind. Once we are through with this, we don't want to come back again into this world. Enough of this. Even at the beginning of a new creative cycle, they will not be born, nor are they subjected to the distress of dissolution. Yes, during the time of Sri Krishna, achieving or passing away and then going into heaven, a place called heaven, and stay there for some time and then be born again, or stay there for eternity, enjoy there for eternally. That was one of the main main purposes of practicing spiritual disciplines, especially the karma kanda, sacrifices and other things, so that you can get a higher or nobler life than what you have in this physical body or human body. So, but Sri Krishna says, no, 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 don't worry about it. You will, once you gain this knowledge, you will not be born again, and that assurance he gives to us. We will stop here and take up the next week. Om Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gaganasadrisham Meghavarnam Shubhangam Lakshmikantam Kamalanayanam Yogirithyanagamyam Vande Vishnum Bhavabhayaharam Sarvalokaikanatham. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat.